FounderQuest Extreme Edition.
Brace yourself for the #1 rated daytime bootstrap SaaS Honeybadger themed podcast in the Pacific Northwest. This is FounderQuest.
I just going to dive on in there. I'm so eager. I'm so excited. It's actually kind of weird because, Star is the one that typically starts us off.
Yeah, I see. I thought we were just going to start with our just general banter and then not introduce the guest for until 30 minutes later,
by the way,
is also our tradition.
Yeah, well,
where we say if Star doesn't sound like Star.
Right. Yes. Today's Star doesn't sound like Star because today's Star is Mike Mondragon instead.
Hey,
Welcome,
Mike.
Hey.
Mike is a longtime friend of the show and friend of the founders. Actually, Mike, how long have we known each other? It's been at least 10, maybe 15.
Probably 2007 Seattle RB.
Okay.
I was going to say, you two have known each other much longer than I've even known Ben. So you go back.
Way back.
Yeah. Because I think Ben and I met in 2009 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike and I have been hanging out for a long time. We've known each other through many, many different jobs and contracts and so on. It's been awesome.
Yeah, Mike, I feel like I've heard your name since for the last at least 10 years. I'm just working with Ben. You've always been kind of in the background, and this is we've realized this is the first time we've actually met face to face, which is crazy. But it's great to have a face to put with a little, what is it, a cat avatar? Is a cat in your avatar? You've had that avatar for a really long time, I feel like.
Yeah, that's Wallace. So I'm Mond on GitHub and Twitter. And that cat avatar is our tuxedo cat, Wallace. And he is geriatric now. Hopefully he'll live another year. And if you remember in that era of Ruby, all of the Japanese Rubyists had cat icons. And so that was, I don't know, that's why Wallace is my icon.
Yeah. Nice.
So do Wallace and Gorby Puff know each other?
No.
They're best friends, right? I mean, they had to have met at Seattle RB.
Yeah.
They're internet friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mike is old school Ruby. Way back, yeah. But the other funny thing about the old Rubyists, all those Japanese Rubyists, I remember from RubyConf Denver, was that 2007? Somewhere around there. I remember going to that and there were Matts and a bunch of friends were sitting up at the front and they all had these miniature laptops. I've never seen laptops so small, but they're I don't know what they were, 9-inch screens or something crazy. I was how do you even type on that thing? It's a thing. So I guess, I don't know. I haven't been to Japan, but
they were laptops that you could only get in Japan, and they flashed them with some sort of Linux, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I wonder how long it took them to compile C on there.
Yeah. So when about the orbit with the founders, so I think I put in my notes that I consider myself a sliver of a Honeybadger. In that I did have a conversation with Ben about joining the company. And then in 2017, I did do a little contracting with you guys, which is kind of ironic in that. So we probably going to talk about cryptocurrencies in Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin protocol is essentially on a 4-year timer. And in 2017 was the last time that we were building up to, I guess, an explosive end to that cycle. Mm-hmm. And I had just been working at Salesforce at desk.com, and I left because of Bitcoin. And then this year, 4 years later, I again just left Salesforce, but I just left from Heroku. And I didn't leave so much because of Bitcoin. I just got a better opportunity. And I'm a principal engineer at Okta, and I'm in the developer experience working on SDKs, primarily the Golang SDK. So I think one of the things that they were happy about was that I had experience carrying the pager and knowing what that's like. And they wanted to have an experienced engineer that would have empathy for for the engineers to main the SDK. So I'm like really excited to be here because I'm not going to be carrying the pager, and it is like kind of like the fun programming. What I imagine listening to the founders about the kind of fun programming that you guys get to do, working with different languages and whatnot. So like obviously right now I'm starting out with Golang. We don't have a Ruby SDK because Omniauth provider is the thing that most people use. There's also PHP and some Java. So I'm just like looking forward to being able to do a bunch of different languages. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we don't know anything about SDK teams at Honeybadger. But yeah, it sounds like we have very similar jobs at the moment. So that's cool. We'll have to trade tips at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're there because I'm definitely going to hit you up on the SAML stuff because SAML's a pain in the tuchus, and I'm sure you'll have some insights from your time there.
Well, that was how I was even open-minded to talking to Okta. Was the recruiter contacted me, and I think it was the recruiter. Like, I don't know like the structure of how this works, but a lot of companies have like a recruiter, like a prospecting recruiter. And I think that a veteran-oriented prospecting recruiter contacted me. And so being a veteran, I'll usually entertain those cold calls. And so then when I was at Desk, so Desk was a big Rails monolith. I wrote a microservice to break some of the SSO off of the monolith itself. And in writing the API documentation that was on desk.com, I actually used Okta as one of the examples as a SSO identity provider using SAML. So yeah, I have had a little bit of experience from the outside of Okta with SAML, and so maybe I'll have more experience here to answer your questions.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. We'll have you back, and we can just do a whole hour on that.
After we do an hour on SDKs.
I'll have you back for multiple visits. Yeah, and your code that you wrote for us still lives on.
Yeah, was it the Webpack? That was some of the work, right?
Some of it
you did, yeah. And
some GitHub integration work.
And the integrations, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. If I remember correctly with the GitHub integration, it's like I did do some GitHub integration and it kind of tickled your enthusiasm, Ben. And then I think like you went in and like refactored that a little bit.
Well, I mean, if you have a monolith like we do that's been around for as long as ours has, things don't, it's like a Theseus ship, it goes around the world, but you replace things as it goes and it's never the same app, right? So that's like the thing. We had kind of discussed this in the prelude around like just software engineering in general and how hard it is to maintain a monolith, especially as a company grows and as developers roll into a project. You get all of these over time. You get engineers with different goals, different techniques, different styles of touching your code base to the point that it becomes very hard to maintain a project. And I don't know if we're going to talk about Heroku at all, but I think that Heroku suffers from a little bit of that, where there's like very few original Heroku that are involved in the runtime, at least. And I just came from being on the runtime in the control plane. And definitely like the code base there is like, there's like maybe one or two people that are still around that have touched that code base like from the beginning. So yeah, let's dive into that because that's fascinating to me. I know that it's been chatter on Twitter recently that people feel that Heroku is kind of stagnated. They haven't really brought a lot of innovative stuff to market recently. I remember actually a kind of funny story I'm going to tell myself. I can't remember what year this was. It was I don't know, 2000, early 2000s. I was part of a focus group. And I can't reveal a lot of information because, secrecy and stuff. But anyway, I was part of this focus group and I was asked as part of this group, like what, as a developer working on Ruby applications and Rails applications, what I thought about this new thing called Heroku. And that, had explained to me like, oh, you just git push and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I kind of poo-pooed the idea. I was like, nah, I'm not interested. because like I already know how to deploy stuff. Like I've got Mongrel.
I was going to say Mongrel.
I know how to use, SCP. Like, why do I need this? Like, nah, that's never going to catch on. And so don't follow me for investing advice.
Yeah.
Like, I got my Linodes.
Yeah. Or even back then, it's like I wrote all my own chef. So I got my own recipes. I can just spin up bare metal at will.
Exactly. So what do you think? Like you've been at Heroku, you've seen this process of like people having to maintain this code base over a long period of time. What are some tips for people who might be a little earlier on the process that you looking down the road? Like, what do you suggest people think about for having a more maintainable application?
That's interesting. I really think that there is not like one size fits all. And actually, like some of the things that are specific to Heroku and actually to Desk.com when I was there previously, some of the issues like actually stem from Salesforce culture and the way that Salesforce manages its businesses. And so I guess like the thing that I've always liked about Rails specifically is that the conventions that are used in Rails, it's like you can drop an experienced Rails developer pretty much into any Rails app, and they're going to know like the basic conventions. And that saves you so much time to ramping up and bringing your experience into a project. Whereas when you get into like bespoke software, then you run into like, well, what were the architectural design patterns like 10 years ago compared to now? How much drift has there been in libraries and the language, like depending. And so that's a very hard question to nail down in a specific way. I would say in spitballing this, conventions are very important, I would say. So as long as you have a conventions using a framework, then I think that you'll get to go a long ways. However, if you start to use a framework, then you get the everything is a nail, and I'm going to use my hammer framework on that, which is its own thing that I've seen in Ruby, where it's like if you start a project with Rails, I don't think everybody realizes this, but you are essentially going to be doing a type of software development that is like in the mindset of Basecamp, right? And if you have an app that is not quite like Basecamp, and then you start to try to extending Rails to do something different, then you're going to start running into issues. And I think that it makes me sad when I hear people talk poorly about Rails, because oftentimes it's like people are just kind of like pushing it into a direction that it's not built to do, whether they're like in the old days, like monkey patching libraries or whatnot. So.
Yeah, I think we saw that with, the rise of Elixir in Phoenix, right? Jose just got frustrated with the wanting to do some real-time stuff, and that really wasn't the wheelhouse for Rails, right? And so he went and built Elixir. Phoenix was built on top of that, and that became a better hammer for that particular nail than Rails, right? So now if you come into a new project, you're like, well, I'm going to do a lot of highly concurrent stuff. Well, okay, maybe Rails isn't the best solution. Maybe you should go look at Elixir and Phoenix instead.
Yeah. So like on the with Heroku, I just want to say that like it was like so awesome to work at Heroku, and the day that I got a job offer to work there, it was like I still like if I'm having a bad day, I still think about that. And like I've never used like hard drugs, but I would think that like somebody that is like on a cocaine high, that's probably what I was feeling when I got the offer from Heroku. It's like, I started using Heroku in 2009, and it has the story. It has a story within our community, is highly respected. And so I just want to say that I still think very highly of Heroku. And like if I was to be doing just like a throwaway project and I just wanted to write some code and do a git push main or git push Heroku main, then I would definitely do that. And I'm not very experienced with the other kinds of like competitors right now. I think like you pointed to me at, is it Vercel and Render?
And Render. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can't really speak to them. I can really just like speak to Heroku and some of the very specific things that go on there. I think one of the issues that Heroku suffers from is not the technology itself, but like just the Salesforce environment. Because at Salesforce, everything eventually has to be blue, right? And so Heroku, I don't think they ever could really figure out the right thing to do with Heroku. As well as the other thing about enterprise software is that, if I'm selling Salesforce, like Service Cloud or whatever, I'm selling seats of software licenses. And there's no big margin in selling compute, because if I'm buying compute, I expect to be using that. And as a salesperson, I'm not incented to sell Heroku that much because there's just not margins for me in the incentive structure that they have at sales within Salesforce. I think that's the biggest thing that Heroku has going against it, is that it's living in a Salesforce environment. And as I guess like a owner of Salesforce, being that I have Salesforce stock, I would hope that they would maximize their profits and actually like sell Heroku. Like who knows, like maybe a bunch of developers get together and actually buy the brand and spin that off. That would be like the best thing, because I think that Salesforce would probably realize a lot more value out of Heroku just by doing that, even if there's like some sort of profit sharing, and then not have to deal with all the other things that they're dealing with. So
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, the thing about billing, selling per user versus the compute, that's definitely a different world. It's a totally different mindset. And I think, Josh, that we have now been given a directive that we should acquire Heroku as part of it.
I was going to say, like, maybe we can acquire it with all of our Doge profits in like 5 or 10 years from now.
Well, yeah, somebody spin up a Heroku coin, like a ERC20 token on Ethereum, and get everybody like to dump their Ethereum into this token, get that pot of money together. And then that is like like a
foundation. group buy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
that's
it.
That's the Heroku Foundation that buys the Heroku brand. I mean, I know that we're kind of laughing about it, but actually this is like what is possible today. And I was telling Ben, well, let me just say a couple of things about the FounderQuest and how it relates to me. Is like, I've been listening to FounderQuest from the first episode, and I'm an only child, and I like to listen to podcasts. So I'll be on my afternoon walk, and I'll be hearing you guys talk, and I'm like having this conversation with you, along with you guys listening to the podcast. And so I think in January, you guys were talking about, or maybe Ben was talking about $30,000 Bitcoin. And you guys just had your yucks and laughs about it. And it actually made me think kind of critically about this, because I've been involved with Bitcoin since about 2012. And it's like, do I have a tinfoil hat on, or what do I think? And so I'm not joking about this. Like, listening to you guys actually has helped me concretely come up with like how I feel about this. And first off, I think I'm bullish on technology. And this is like the first epiphany that I had, is like, all of us have had a career close to Linux, close to Ruby, building backend services, close to virtualization and orchestration. Fortunately, that's been my interest, and fortunately, that's been where our industry has gone. And so when Bitcoin came out, as technologists, like all you ever hear, if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, you just hear currency and you're thinking, like internet money. It's like, you're not thinking about this as a technologist. And so that was the thing. It's like, I wish that Bitcoin had been talked about as like a platform or a framework, and not even called it coin, because that like confuses the issue.
The whole coin thing, like just, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And mining, the metaphors
that alone
just totally throws everything off, because I mean, we're laughing about it, but this is like really possible today. We could come up with a foundation to buy Heroku with a cryptocurrency. Yeah. So that's one thing that Ben helped me realize in my thinking around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I think like, I'm just bullish on technology. And so to me, again, across our career, there's been like so much change, and why would we look at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies any differently than any kind of other kind of technology. It's like, like even like a $100 bill with all the holograms on it is a kind of financial technology. And so we're just talking about a digital technology. We're not talking about coins, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's like the appeal of a lot of the altcoins, right? Like they give everyone a way to like invest in those companies, whereas before you would have to like be an accredited investor or something to be able to get involved. Is that part of the appeal? I'm probably showing like what I know about crypto, which is very little, but I'm excited to maybe you can.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like these projects are kind of like, I'm not a VC and I'm not an insider, but from what I can see from afar, like in Silicon Valley, there's a closed group of people that have access to all of these ideas, and there's like angel clubs and VC clubs and whatnot that are funding these startups. And to me, I feel like these crypto projects are the same kind of thing, except for they're just available to the public. And so I think like if I was like speaking to another technologist that was like interested in cryptocurrencies, is you probably need to get your hands on some of the technology in order to get experience with it. And so if that means like you figure out how to like maybe mine some coin on your laptop or whatever, or you actually pay for it, you should at least have some in your possession and kind of at least learn about the custodial part of it. Also, there's different software libraries now to actually do programming against it. And it's like, and platforms, I believe. So that'd be like another way to, at least tickle your curiosity, is by actually touching the technology and not like thinking about the value. So,
yeah.
To me, that's one of the most interesting things about the whole coin thing. My younger son is really interested in the crypto space, in the coin and in the other parts of a distributed ledger, and what does that mean and how does that work? And like he was before I heard about NFTs, he was talking about NFT, and I was like, and so it's really interesting to me to see like this coming from him. Like just yesterday we had a conversation about CRDTs, right? Because we're talking about how do you merge transactions that are happening in a distributed fashion, right? And I was like, oh yeah, and it's so weird to have, my teenage son's world colliding with my world and, in this way, but it's a lot of fun. And I got to say, Mike, I got to give you back some credit talking about the whole coin thing. Like as you've heard, like we're pretty coin skeptical here at Honeybadger, the founders, but you made a comment in our pre-show conversation, and maybe you didn't make this explicitly, but maybe it's just the way that I heard it. But I think, what I heard was, and maybe you actually said this, was basically like, think about this like an index fund, right? You put dollar cost averaging, right? You put some money into coin, you put a little bit, it's not going to be your whole portfolio, right? But you just, you don't treat it like a gamble. You just treat it like an investment, like you would other things that may appreciate in value. And of course you may not. And so as a result, I decided, okay, I can do that. I can put a little bit of my portfolio into coins. So just this week, this is the funny part. Just this week,
I'm just finding this out now, by the way.
Yeah. Josh is like, I told my wife about this last night. And she's like, what's Josh going to say? I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, just this week, I put a little bit of money into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And like, that was, when did Elon do his thing about Bitcoin? Was that Thursday morning?
Oh yeah.
I bought 2 hours before Elon did his thing, and Bitcoin lost like 15% of its value.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
So
I'm just putting in.
You don't sell. It doesn't matter.
What was your emotion? Did you have
emotions? Like, yeah, totally. Yeah. Like in fact, my first buy, I used Coinbase, and Coinbase is like, well, do you want to do this periodically? I'm like, yes, I do. Every month. Boom. Oh. I went ahead and set that up. Like, so yeah.
Oh, I did not know you could do that. Okay.
I'm in it to win it, man.
You should get a hardware wallet now. That's the next thing, is like you need to learn how to handle your own custody. So
right, yeah, you got it, yeah.
Not leave it on the exchange.
Get those hard drives.
Yeah,
yeah. Ben's like a veteran indexer though, so you can handle some dips, some volatility.
Yeah.
I did make some money off of Bitcoin back in the day, and probably if I would have just held on to it, I would have made a lot more, of course. But I accidentally, because I don't know when this was. It was maybe 5 years ago or something, when Bitcoin was going through one of its first early hype cycles, and I was like, I'll check it. I was learning about it, of course, and so I went and bought some, and I think I ran a blockchain Elixir app that someone made to see how the transactions work and stuff. I read some books on Bitcoin, but I bought some Bitcoin. I can't remember how much, but just left it. I think this was after Coinbase had launched. I'm pretty sure I bought it through Coinbase, but yeah, I just left it. And then that was when it was in the first huge push of Bitcoin where it went up to 20,000 or something. And I remembered that I had it. And I went and looked and oh yeah, I made $5,000 or something. And it was I put hardly anything into it initially. So I forget what I actually bought with that money. I just sold it and it's cool, free money.
Oh, so you just sold it this year, or you sold it?
No, I sold it back. I think 17. I sold it at 20. Yeah, it was in 7. This would have been in 17 that I actually sold it probably.
Did you report it on your taxes, your capital gains?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the benefit of having an accountant, because your accountant reminds you, you know what? You did have some Bitcoin transactions. You should probably look at
Can I say on here that I actually put some of it through a Bitcoin tumbler though, just to see how those work?
Yeah. I mean,
and that was a very small amount of money, but I didn't actually report that on my taxes because I think I actually forgot where it was or something. So
you have to explain what a Bitcoin tumbler is.
So a Bitcoin tumbler, well, I'll try, and then maybe Mike might explain it better. But a Bitcoin tumbler is basically how you anonymize your Bitcoin transact. If you have some Bitcoin and you want to use it for you want to buy some drugs on the dark web or something, you go and you send your Bitcoin to this tumbler, and then it distributes it to a bunch of random Bitcoin addresses that it gives you. And then you have those addresses and they're anonymized because they've been sent through a bunch of people's wallets or something like that.
Yep. That's basically it.
So it's basically
button money laundering.
Yeah, it's laundering.
Yeah, but if you're if your privacy, I mean, okay.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because part of the appeal of Bitcoin to some people is oh yeah, money, credit card transactions are so the governments are recording them and stuff. The NSA probably has a database of them. So Bitcoin is anonymous, but it's not it's right. Not anonymous. And yeah, so that's why people do this, right?
Yeah, well, to me, that's if you want to, so the value of Bitcoin, if you want to get bullish on the value of Bitcoin, it's the traditional outlook is yeah, the Silk Road was going on and there's all this illegal stuff going on, therefore it must be bad. But actually, to me, that's the thing, it's good if there's illicit stuff going on, because what's the number one currency that's used right now for illicit transactions? It's dirty US dollar bills. And if you're if you're a drug dealer in Central South America, you are collecting dollar bills in the United States. You're paying some sort of transport, probably at 10-15% cost to get get those dollars back to wherever you're going to hold them. And so if you're using Bitcoin, you're probably not going to pay that fee. So to me, it's okay, that actually proves, at least in my mind, that there is value, that it's being used, right? So
yeah, and you don't want to see some people are fanatics about cash going away, even just because as more people do move to digital transactions, whether it's just through whatever traditional networks or through crypto, people are using less and less cash. And, I think whatever, Richard, Stallman, won't, he pays for everything in cash still, because he doesn't want he thinks that cash is going to go away someday. And that's a problem for privacy, because you do want a way to pay for things in private in some cases.
Yeah, my only real beef with Bitcoin, well, aside from the whole requiring power plants just to do a transaction, is that there is Badger Coin, this company that is named Honeybadger. It's all about Bitcoin, and they have these ATMs in Canada, and we constantly get support requests from people.
Yeah, is this the reason Is this the reason that we're so down? We've been so down on cryptocurrencies in the past because like ever since the beginning, like since people started making coins, like Badger coin came out, and then it's been like our primary exposure, to be honest. Like
It really has been.
throughout for the past, I don't know how many years it's been. Like what has it been? Like 6 to 8 years?
Something like that.
I'd say
You should send them an invoice, and they actually maybe they'll.
Yeah. So what happens is they have these kiosks where you can buy Bitcoin, right? You put your real money in and you get your fake money out, right? And the name on the top of the kiosk is Honeybadger. So someone, puts in some money, real money, and they don't get their fake money, then all of a sudden they're upset, right? And so they, for whatever reason, like it doesn't go through, right? I don't know how this works. Like I've never bought Bitcoin at a kiosk, but so they're like, okay, Honeybadger. And so they like Google Honeybadger, and the first result for Honeybadger is us. And so they're like, oh, here's a phone number I can call. And they call us and they're like, where's my Bitcoin? It's like, I really can't help
they do.
You stole my Bitcoin. It's like, no, that's not us.
Something just occurred to me. Like, I wonder like how many of them are just confused over the fact that like Bitcoin transactions can take a while to arrive now, right? Like it's not always instantaneous, where it used to be a lot faster, but like now I know that it can take a while to clear. So I wonder like how many of those people are like emailing us in the like span. Maybe that's why they eventually always go away and like we don't hear from them again. Maybe it's not that they're getting help, but it's just that their Bitcoins are arriving. Yeah. Like I have a feeling like there's some sort of like, this is like regular, I'm guessing these are like mostly regular, like normies using and interacting with this very highly technical product and experience. And even if you're walking up to a kiosk, but it's still like, there's still a highly technical aspect of it that like you said, Mike, people are thinking coin, like they're thinking like the way this maps their brain is just like, it's like dollar bills. So like, they're looking at it like an ATM.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to think when it comes to cryptocurrency and the technology, I don't want to think about have to think about custody or any of that other kinds of stuff. It's like, it'll be successful when it just is happening. I'm not thinking about it. I don't know all of the different mobile devices, but I do carry an iPhone. And so the wallet on the iPhone is pretty seamless now, right? And so I'm not thinking about how that technology is working. I mean, I had to associate like an Amex with it originally. Once I've done that, then all I do is click my button to pay, and there you go. And so I do think that the cryptocurrency technology has a long way to go towards that, because if normal people, the non-nerds have to think about it, then it's not gonna be useful, because in the end, humans use tools, right? And so whatever the tool is, they're going to use it, especially if it's easy and it makes their life easier.
So what I really want to know, Mike, is what are your feelings about Dogecoin? Are you bullish on Doge?
I'll answer that, but I wanted to come back to the bit about the NFT and just talking about like the possibilities with technology. And I think that you guys could profit from this. You'll have to do some more research, but I think what you could do. See, I love the origin story of Honeybadger, and maybe not everybody knows about the Honeybadger meme from when was this? 2012, 2011, something like that. Okay. So not everybody knows about the meme. Go Google.
Link it up.
It's long dead. This meme is long dead. So you got to go dig it up.
Awesome. I still love it.
It is.
So there's so many facets of this that I love. The first one is that, Can I name names on competitors and the origins?
Of course.
Okay. So the first one is that Airbrake, an exception reporting service, was doing a poor job with their customer service. And you guys were like, we're working on this project. We need exception reporting. It's not working. It's like, well, can we just take their library and build our own back end? Right. And to me, that is like beautiful. And in thinking about this episode, it's like, and Heroku, it's like the same opportunity lies for an aspiring developer out there where you could just take the Heroku CLI and point it at your own false backend until you figure out all of the API calls that happen. And I don't know, you have it backed by Kubernetes or whatever orchestration framework is. There is the possibility that you could do the same Honeybadger story with the Airbrake SDK as there is with the Heroku CLI. So that's like the first thing I love about the Honeybadger story. And the fact the name goes along with the fact that Airbrake had poor customer support and you guys just were like, F it, we're going to build our own exception reporting service. Now, in the modern context with NFTs is I had like old man kind of experience with NFTs in that GIFs or GIFs and JPEGs. It's like, this is like BS that people are gouging this for profit. However, the technology of the NFT, this is the thing that I think is beautiful, is that, and I'm not sure which of the NFTs does this, but there is the possibility that you could be the originator of a digital object, and then you sell that digital object. And then as that digital object is traded, then you, as the original creator, you can get a percentage of the sales for the lifetime of that digital asset. And I'm not sure which of the NFTs allows that, but that is like one of the things, that's one of the value propositions in an NFT. So what I was thinking is like, if you guys did an NFT on the SHA of the original Honeybadger Ruby SDK check-in, that this could be like the thing that you guys have an experiment with, is like to, you have like real skin in the game. You're playing with the technology and see if that works. And let me know if you do that, because I might try to buy it. We'll see.
Well, we've already got a buyer. Like, why wouldn't we?
Yeah. So
indeed. Yeah.
See, I was thinking like maybe we could like, you could like own various errors or something in Honeybadger.
Yeah. I mean, whatever digital signature you want to, whatever you want to assign and then assign value to.
We could NFT our exceptional creatures.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Mike? Have you seen that project?
Yep. Okay.
I'm
well aware of that. Yep.
Yeah, I'm thinking, what about like open source maintainers, right? Let's say you have this project and someone really wants a particular feature, right? Or they're really happy about a particular feature that you've already done, right? You could sell them that SHA, that commit that put it into main, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like, hey, you are the proud owner of this feature. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I was hoping that I would come with some ideas. I hope someday in the future that I run into somebody and it's like, oh, we heard that podcast where ideas were free ideas that were worth a lot of money were thrown about. And I did this project and now I'm retired. Thank you, Mike.
Wait, so Ben, are you saying that like, so as a committer, so say I like commit something to Rails, like submit a PR. So then like I own that PR if once it's merged, and it would be like, I could sell that then to someone. Is that along the lines of what you're saying?
The owner of the project. So, if you commit something to Rails, then, and you're really excited about it, and you, for some reason, want to have like a trophy of that commit,
right,
or a plaque on the wall, right? Then the Rails core group could sell you that.
Okay,
token,
gotcha.
That trophy, that certificate. Like, yep, this is your thing, commissioned by. Like, it's like naming a star. Right?
Yeah,
you buy the rights to a star name. Like, who cares? I mean, it's like fake stuff, right? We're naming stars, but that's the same idea.
Yeah,
right?
so this is, I'm thinking like, so you could use that same idea to like incentivize open source contributions. So like if you make the PR to Rails and it gets merged, you get this NFT for the PR merge, which you could then actually profit for if it was like, say it was like, I don't know, TurboLinks or something, like, like whatever, years later when it's like a huge thing and everyone is Rails is using it, maybe Mike's going to come along and be like, hey, I'll buy, I want to own the, the PR for TurboLinks. Yeah. And of course, then you as the owner would also profit from any sale between parties later on too. You'd get that little percentage.
Yeah. Well, so when somebody comes up with committer coin, just remember me. I want an airdrop of some committer coin for.
We have a name. We've got a name for it.
Love it.
Commit coin.
I've got a new weekend project ahead of me.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, like that helps me understand NFTs. So.
Yeah, I really like the idea of being able to sell ownership rights to a digital asset. That I think is a good idea. I don't know that the current implementation that we see on the news is a great implementation of that idea. Like buying the rights for a copy of a JPEG, like feels kind of sketchy to me. But like maybe there's some sort of, I don't know, PDF document that has some sort of value for some reason, and you can sell that to someone, and and to me, it's not so much about the profit or the transaction. It's the ownership. Like you can say, like, I am the owner of this thing. Yeah, there can be copies all over the place, but I'm the person that has the ownership, quote unquote, of this thing.
Yeah. But then you got to define value, Ben. Like, what is value? Okay, so like, what makes a PDF more valuable than a JPEG?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, bring this back to like Dogecoin and value propositions and whatnot. It's like, what is valuable when you're talking about the value of a JPEG? This reminded me of a conversation I was having with my son. He's 10 years old and he like wanted some money to buy, I don't know what it was. And like old man voice came out of me. It's like, that's BS. I don't think that's valuable. And he like looked at me and it's like, it's valuable to me. And it's like, oh, you just put a dagger in my heart. I'm killing your dream. And one person's value may not be another person's value. So on the Dogecoin, that's interesting. The Dogecoin is very interesting to me because I feel like I'm in a quantum state with Dogecoin where it is a joke, but at the same time, apparently it has value, and I don't know where I stand on that threshold. I know how to trade Dogecoin, and I know the behavior of Dogecoin, and the behavior is from a trading standpoint has changed substantially in the last like 6 months. Before it was like a pump and dump kind of thing. Well, actually, you know what? When Dogecoin was first created, actually, it did show its purpose was highlighted by the community. People out in podcast land don't realize this, but I'm wearing a 2017 Dogecoin shirt from when the Dogecoin community sponsored the number 98 NASCAR. And that was like the thing of the community. It's like, oh, we have all this money and we're just being altruistic and we're giving it away. And so they were exercising their belief with this currency, right? And so from then till now, it's like there was a bit of a cycle to Dogecoin where, you could, if you acquired Dogecoin for say like under 100 Satoshis, this is the Dogecoin BTC pair. It's like that was actually a good buy. Just wait for the next pump when somebody does something and Dogecoin goes over 200 or 300 Satoshis and then you dump it. And that's basically what I did on this in the last 6 months. It's like, I had a small bag of Dogecoin waiting for the next pump and dump. And I actually did that, but it kept on getting pumped and then it would stabilize. And then now we're at the point where apparently Elon Musk and Mark Cuban are saying that there's value to it. And to me, I actually put a lot of credence to that because these are two public persons that they cannot, if they're pumping things in the public domain, then they have risk, right? And so you can't be those two people and be pumping and not run the risk of like the FTC of the United States government coming in and saying, "Hey, why were you doing this?" So there's I guess like the for me, like what is a small bit of a guarantee that maybe there's something to Dogecoin.
Yeah. See, the way I think when you first started, you were saying, it is a joke, but you're in like this dual state. And my initial or immediate thought was like, it is a joke, but this is the internet and the internet loves to make silly things real.
Yeah.
Especially these days.
Yeah. It's pretty funny for all those people that made a bunch of money on GameStop, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, and Doge is of itself from a meme from the same time period as Honeybadger, right? The doggy, right? So the other thing I don't understand, or the thing that I understand, but I don't know how to quantify it for myself, is that to me, so there's no like pre-mine on Dogecoin. there's no like one person that owns a lot of Dogecoin from the beginning. Whereas like if we're talking about Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, the founder or one of the founders of Ethereum, like they pre-mine Litecoin or Ethereum, and there's like a ton of Ethereum that's owned by the founders. Whereas you compare that to say like Litecoin, Charlie Lee, cloned Bitcoin and created Litecoin. Like he sold all of his Litecoin. I believe him when he said he's sold it all. I mean, he's a software engineer just like us. He was like director of engineering at Coinbase. It's like he doesn't seem like he's wearing tinfoil hat out there, doing conspiracies. So when he says that he sold his coin in 2017, all of his Litecoin, I totally believe that. Yet, like today, he is like the chairperson of the Litecoin Foundation, and so to me, I actually do place some value in the benevolence of Litecoin and Dogecoin because there's not any one person that actually controls it. I guess Charlie Lee, he probably has a stronger voice than most, but he doesn't control the levers.
Not financially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then with Dogecoin, it's like, so Dogecoin, it'll be awesome if it gets above $1, but the structure of Dogecoin will be such as that it cannot maintain that because it's an inflation.
There's no cap, right?
Right. It's inflationary. Yeah. And so I think, I don't know the number. I think it's like 1 million Dogecoin are minted every day. So 10 years from now, if Dogecoin is worth $1 still, then that means like Bitcoin will be worth a lot more than that. So I guess that'd be awesome if Dogecoin stays $1. However, the point I'm trying to make is like, actually there is value in having an inflationary currency, especially if we're talking about living in the structure of our current the way that our current financial markets work, where there is inflation. And so if I want to be transacting with the digital currency, I don't want to have to be like, say, having an Argentina kind of moment where like my one Dogecoin is worth like $5 American today, and then maybe only $3 American like a week from now. So to me, that is, I think there is value in Dogecoin is in that it's inflationary and that it will not be as susceptible to speculation bubbles as other currencies. And so I don't know if if that answers your questions on the value of Dogecoin, but those are a couple of reasons why I think Dogecoin is valuable. Now, am I going to be holding a big bag of Dogecoin in 2022? Probably not. Just to be honest.
We're all about honesty at Honeybadger and FounderQuest. I love the episodes where we have to have the disclaimer, like, this is not financial advice. Please consult competent professionals before investing, et cetera, et cetera. Mike, it has been a delight to have you with us. We appreciate your counterbalance to our coin pessimism that we have amongst the
I think we needed this. We really needed this. So really thank you.
Yeah. It's been good.
Yeah. Oh, I got one more idea out there. Okay. Hopefully somebody can run with this. Is I think that I've been trying to get motivated to do some experimentation with the Bitcoin Lightning Network. We didn't really talk about like these layer 2 solutions for scaling, but I think that there is a lot of potential in like coming up with like an interesting project that lays within the Litecoin network, has its value in and of itself, but there's a secondary value of being a node on the Litecoin network where if there's transactions going through your node, I don't know how you'd instrument this, but let's say that Honeybadger actually was that you guys were taking your payments across your own Lightning node, then all of the transactions that are going across the Lightning network, you're getting a small fee, right? So I think that there's like the possibility of like a micropayments kind of play there. Like for instance, like paying by the exception. I mean, literally
that has come up. That has come up in the past, I think, at one point.
You can't do micropayments on a credit card, right? But you can do micropayments on Lightning Network. And I'm not selling you guys on this, but I'm saying that there's going to be some nerd out there that's like, oh my God, micropayments are here. I can do micropayments on Lightning Network. And then they're going to do well on that product. but then they're also going to do well on the commission that they're earning on payments going through their node. So
this could be like used for like resource-based, usage-based software as a service billing models.
Totally.
Yeah. And then you get to skim off the top, just like a good affiliate does.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. All right, Mike, we're going to have to do some scheming together. Well, any final words, any parting words besides go buy all the Dogecoin that you can?
Yeah, don't put all your money into the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Seems like good advice.
Be smart.
FounderQuest is a weekly podcast by the founders of Honeybadger. Zero instrumentation, 360-degree coverage of errors, outages, and service degradations for your web apps. If you have a web app, you need it. Available at honeybadger.io. Want more from the founders? Go to FounderQuestPodcast.com. That's one word, where you can access our huge back catalog of episodes. FounderQuest is available on iTunes, Spotify, and other purveyors of fine podcasts. We'll see you next week.